From the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, this is Carolina Week.
Good evening and welcome to the February 2nd edition of Carolina Week. I'm Anthony Stokes.
And I'm Catherine Chang. Our top story tonight. Traffic is a lot lighter at the DMV. Operation Stop Fraud is in effect as of Monday. Now, people trying to get North Carolina driver's licenses have to prove they are legal U.S. residents. Last week, people waited in line for hours to get their licenses before the law took effect. Many Hispanics previously used the Matricula Consular, an ID card the Mexican government issued. But now, IDs from all other countries except Canada won't be accepted. Officials say this will make sure all driver's licenses are based on valid documentation.
Students often have a reputation for being apathetic when it comes to politics, but Carolina Week's Amanda Eiler joins us now with information about some students who are breaking the mold.
Anthony, students were all over the city of Columbia, South Carolina this weekend trying to rally support for the different candidates in the Democratic presidential nomination race. We spoke with many of them and found out their involvement is not only driven by their faith in the candidates, but also their concern about the future.
I have your name here on our volunteer list when I was...
Darren Myers is a junior at Limestone College in Columbia, South Carolina. But instead of spending this semester in class, he's helping Senator John Kerry blaze the campaign trail.
I'm a student receiving financial aid, and just a couple of months ago, before I really got involved, my financial aid was cut because of the Bush budget cut in educational.
Myers' personal experiences and his concern about other policy areas led to his involvement.
A lot of our students here in the near future will be graduating college, and the possibility that they may not be able to find a job because of our budget, our deficit, our economic situation in the country. But it's terrible.
I'm campaigning for John Edwards.
Myers isn't the only student getting involved in the political process. Students took to the streets of Columbia, South Carolina last weekend.
We're gonna take back the White House!
Supporting different candidates, but sharing the same concerns.
Universal health care for everyone under 21, which is great because all kids would be insured and have the adequate health care that they need.
Edwards was the first candidate to have a really strong platform plank on college for everyone.
As Tuesday's election draws near, the race in South Carolina is growing tighter, with Edwards leading Kerry slightly in the polls. It's a competition where the student voice can make an impact.
Students are the future.
While there seems to be no end to the signs, slogans, and opinions, what you won't find here is apathy.
Now, Anthony, this year has been called the Year of the Younger Voter. All the candidates are trying really hard to attract the 18 through 25 age group. John Edwards did it this weekend with the Hootie and the Blowfish concert. Dean's doing it through online stuff, things like that. So these students are really beneficial to the campaigns.
I bet they are. Thanks, Amanda.
Thanks.
A group of Carolina students found out a little more about each candidate this weekend. Carolina Week's Dana Hackett followed them to South Carolina and joins us now with more about her trip.
That's right, Kat. 6 of the 7 candidates were campaigning strong this weekend in Columbia. Students from UNC's Black Student Movement decided to go down to the Palmetto State Friday to hear exactly what the candidates had to say.
4 a.m. and before the crack of dawn, these students were boarding a bus and heading to South Carolina. 5 hours later, they were on the streets of Columbia, marching alongside 3,000 people as part of the People's Agenda for Economic Justice.
We're marching for social and economic justice issues as far as wages or immigration or what have you.
Those issues and others help draw the program's attention to low-income families.
Education should be guaranteed.
With songs and chants, and even young faces crying out for help, these families challenged candidates to tackle issues like inadequate health care, unemployment, and poor education. Students from the Black Student Movement say they hope people see that students are interested in what each candidate stands for. They also want to encourage people to get out and vote in the primaries.
A lot of times people don't vote because they think that their vote doesn't matter, and I feel that as a group of students it's important that we also be activists in the fight for a vote.
Open dialogue between the candidates and America's working families allowed the presidential hopefuls to show how they plan to implement changes in the White House. With each response came an even larger reaction from the crowd, with the largest coming in response to Reverend Al Sharpton.
Then when Al Sharpton came out, I almost lost my mind. He had a lot of good things to say.
I was most impressed by Reverend Al Sharpton. The things he said were just, he clarified everything, he got right to the point.
Students say that eye-opener could change their opinion about North Carolina Senator John Edwards, forcing them to make a more informed decision.
I feel like I shouldn't endorse a candidate just because we're from the same state if I don't agree with everything he's proposing as a president. This is going to force me to look into these candidates even further.
That seemed to be the consensus among many of the students on the trip. They say it was a good experience to see the candidates in person and hear where they stand on these issues. Affordable education, affordable health insurance, and creating jobs seem to be the main issues driving each candidate in this race.
Thanks, Dana. Well, candidates are traveling across the country raising support for the upcoming election, but it's often hard to find campaign workers who will follow them from state to state. UNC political science professor James Stimson says that's why the candidates are relying on the students to help them get the word out.
I think the most important consideration is that students make great campaign workers. That the problem for most people, even though they might be more interested in politics than the typical student, is that they just aren't free to leave home. If you've got a 40-hour-a-week job, candidate calls you up and says, I want you to work in South Carolina next week. You just don't cancel your job and go. But students have a freedom to do that kind of thing, so they become a large proportion of all the campaign workers.
You can check out the candidates' websites for more information. Well, Anthony, the winter weather has kept most students inside.
But some students used last week's snow as an excuse to camp out. Find out what made some students want to sleep in the snow.
It's commonly found in the transverse segment of the colon with vascular congestion and smooth surface. Typically, the biopsy proved to be a tubulovillous adenoma.
It's a polyp! Why doesn't he just come right out and say it? It's a polyp.
Sir, do you mind?
Look at your textbook. Could I see that pointer?
We got one.
Stopping colon cancer is simple. Get the polyp early and stop colon cancer before it even starts.
Wait.
Just get the test.
I need the credits.
Get the polyp.
Attica! Oh, shut up!
Get the cure.
Okay. Have a nice day.
You too.
Thanks.
If only child abuse were this easy to recognize. If you even suspect abuse, call us. Trust your instincts.
Mrs. Russo.
Hi, Ben.
Hi.
If only child abuse were this easy to recognize. If you even suspect abuse, call us. Trust your instincts.
Health officials now know what made so many Carolina students so sick last week. Lab tests show the highly contagious norovirus is to blame for sending nearly 200 people to student health services. The viruses cause symptoms similar to the stomach flu. Recovery usually takes a day or two, but some people are contagious for 2 weeks. To decrease your chance of catching the virus, wash your hands frequently, especially after going to the bathroom. Don't share food or drinks with other people, and avoid close contact with anyone who's had the virus.
Campus safety officials say recent crime statistics show a jump in crime on campus. They have some tips to help students stay safe. Department of Public Safety figures show an increase of almost 16% in overall crime from 2001 to 2002. In 2003, there were 10 vehicle thefts on campus. Last month alone, there were 6 car thefts, including one on January 24th when someone stole a student's car from the Aycock Circle lot. DPS Major Jeff McCracken says officers want to reduce overall crime and they are concentrating on preventing larceny.
I have a plan that we use every year specifically to address larceny, and have developed several bullets for the campus community to help keep them from becoming a victim. And hopefully we can make a better reduction next year.
Here are some things you can do to keep safe on campus. Always lock residential hall rooms and office doors. Never prop open exterior doors. never leave values unattended, secure bicycles to bike racks using a strong lock, and always report suspicious activity or people to officers immediately.
After months of debate, the town council has decided the future of red light cameras in Chapel Hill. Word came from Town Hall Thursday evening that cameras on Airport Road and 15501 have to go. Camera supporters argue there's a clear need for them, but the cameras haven't been in place long enough to prove it. Opponents say the cameras increase the chance of rear-end collisions and just don't work well. License plates are often too blurry to read. As a result, fewer than half of the motorists who ran red lights in the past 4 months got a ticket. If you walk through the pit, you'll see candidates campaigning.
But if you walked through on Thursday, you saw something a little different.
With help from friends, 3 UNC freshmen spent most of Wednesday night gathering large chunks of ice, dragging them to the pit, and building a 5-foot-tall igloo.
And if building it wasn't enough, they decided to sleep on its icy floor as well. Kevin Hajek first had the idea when he was trying to decide if he should sleep in his creation another night.
If the floor's dry, we'll definitely do it. So, I mean, you know, who can say that they camped in the pit in an igloo twice?
Kevin says sleeping in his igloo was actually not that cold.
The icy house stood all day and through the night, but couldn't stay standing in Friday's warm afternoon sun.
Well, the weather was nice at the game last night. Too bad the Panthers couldn't give us a win, though.
Well, I was glad that they could at least be there for the game. Brad Lewis joins us now to tell us with some more Super Bowl trivia.
It was a great game. There was absolutely nothing to be ashamed of for the Panthers. They gave a great season, quite a turnaround. UNC players involved in the Super Bowl as well. That will bring us to our trivia question. 2 Tar Heels lost their first chance for a Super Bowl ring. Besides Julius Peppers, which former UNC football player made his first appearance at the Super Bowl? Ryan Sims, Kevin Donnelly, Sam Aiken, or Corey Bailey? We'll find out when Carolina Week returns.
Awaken your creativity. Do your thing at the Art School at the Art Center in Carborough.
There is really only one boy, one girl, one tree, one forest, one ocean, one mountain, one sky, and one simple way to care for it all. Please visit earthshare.org and learn how the world's leading environmental groups are working together under one name, EarthShare. One environment, one simple way to care for it.
The women's basketball team had to share the spotlight with the Super Bowl Sunday. The Heels didn't mind too much. They were more worried about the competition from Florida State. Candace Sutton sets the tone early with a big block. Sutton can also do it from the offensive end, and she puts Carolina up 11-0 early. But FSU's coach lays into her team, and the Seminoles come right back to turn this one into a dogfight. Second half, Latangela Atkinson gets the steal and gives the Tar Heels a little breathing room. Then Ivory Latta with a drive and dish to Camille Little, and the Heels hold on to win 66-60. Coach Sylvia Hatchell says it's a good win, but it was tough.
We had a lot of shots we missed. We had a lot of turnovers that should have been converted to points. But, you know, I look at the good things. We held them to 60 points. If we just cut our turnovers down, we probably got 10, 15 more points. And, you know, I just want them to play hard right now. That's all I ask them to do is go out there and play hard, and that's what they're doing.
North Carolina State walked into the Smith Center Wednesday night undefeated against every Tar Heel player on the bench. UNC had trouble defending against the Wolfpack in the paint during the first half, allowing several uncontested cuts to the basket. Roy was none too pleased with that. But Raymond Felton led by example, battling back against State on every possession, whether a three-pointer or a dunk. Jackie Manuel made an example of Julius Hodge here with authority. NC State drained 2 crucial three-pointers to bring them within 2 points, but Rashad McCants hit a big-time layup to secure the Heels' win. Coach Williams admitted being nervous about the game.
It's a basketball game. I didn't jump off, I thought about it, but I didn't jump off the building down in Tallahassee either. Thought crossed my mind, but I decided better to stay and play a little while. But it was a big time win. We feel good about the win, but it's one win. Florida State was one loss.
And speaking of that one loss, the Heels seesaw season continued Saturday afternoon against Clemson and Littlejohn. Coming into the game, the Tigers were the worst three-point shooting team in the ACC at a shade under 30%. But Saturday, they must have eaten their Wheaties or something because those boys were on fire. 3 for 3 again. Somebody get the hose on these guys.
They're unconscious.
Clemson shot a school record 84.6% from the three-point land, making 11 of 13 and ensuring that the Tar Heels' road woes would continue. The Tar Heels will have to pick up their play on the road. 5 of their last 9 conference games are away from the Dean Dome. We'll have more on the Carolina-Duke game on the Wednesday edition of Carolina Week. The UNC women's tennis team has a new face in the crowd this season, and as Carolina Week's Luke Notestein tells us, he's looking to bring a spark of magic to a program in dire need of a new leader.
When you come to a school like UNC that is rich in athletic tradition and history, you expect excellence. It doesn't matter whether the sport is men's basketball or women's tennis. The bar is the same across the board. Just ask new first-year women's tennis coach Brian Kalbas about coming to a school like UNC.
We have a great team. They're very respectful. They work hard. I think the players kind of make it either an easy transition or a difficult one. And the players are just they're a great team. They work hard. They enjoy each other, and it's just a great atmosphere.
Head coach Brian Kalbas is the 3rd tennis coach here at UNC in 4 years for the Lady Tar Heels. Well, that just begs the question, is he going to be the lucky charms for the Lady Tar Heels? Well, if they keep winning like they have been, maybe he'll stick around for a while.
Number 1 singles player Aniela Mohises is one of the best players in the country. She is sure that Kalbas has had a positive effect, and this is his first year at the helm.
He treats every person individually as to how their personality is, and he's good with that. So I don't generally like a lot of people talking to me on the court, and he doesn't do that. So he knows how to deal with his players and stuff, which is really good.
As a former tennis standout at Notre Dame and a Division I Coach of the Year at William & Mary, Kalbas knows what it takes to succeed. Now, if he can just pass on that wisdom to his players, he will taste the glory that the Tar Heels can offer. I'm Luke Notestein, Carolina Week Sports.
The women are undefeated so far this spring and will travel to Madison, Wisconsin on February the 5th for the National Indoor Team Championships. Saturday morning, the track team not only hosted the North Carolina Invitational, but they showed teams like USC and Charlotte who's boss. 6'9" Vikas Gowda tossed the competition around, setting a new indoor track record in the shot put, throwing a 62.8. With an arm like that, no one wants to mess with this guy. And making it look easy, the women pole vaulters took the top 3 spots in their event without even breaking a sweat. In the men's heptathlon, junior Rob Bates might have finished 3rd overall, but he gunned his way to the NCAA championships, provisionally qualifying with 5,151 points.
I've never even been to a track meet. It looked pretty exciting.
It did.
There's a lot going on at the track meets. It's a little chaotic at times, but it's a great competition. The UNC athletes are doing great so far this season. It's great to see. Well, we get back to the Super Bowl question. Does anybody have an answer for the Super Bowl trivia question?
Oh, let's see. What do you think, Kat?
Not me. I don't know this one either.
The answer is actually Kevin Donnelly. He was a former Tar Heel player, and he actually attended Athens Drive High School, which is where Catherine and I went to high school. Oh. So it's an odd twist, but he's doing quite well.
Fellow Jaguar.
That's right.
Nice.
Small world, small world. Well, that does it for this edition of Carolina Week.
We'll leave you with the Super Bowl highlights. Thank you so much, and please join in Wednesday at 7 for our student body president debate. Good night.